In this video, we are going to talk about chapter number 7.4, the cross product or vector product. So, how to perform the cross product? Let us straight away move to the problems. Question number 1, find the cross product between the two vectors given a vector equal to I vector plus 2 times j vector minus k vector, and b vector is minus 2 I vector plus 2j vector plus 2k vector. To find the cross product between two vectors, what we have to do, we have to write both vectors in the determinant form. So what do you do? First row, write ijk, then take the coefficient of I vector. So here the coefficient is 1, so write it here. Then take the coefficient of j, which is 2, write it here. Coefficient of k, which is minus 1. Similarly, consider the second vector and take all the coefficients. So we have minus 2, plus 2 and plus 2. So let me write minus 2, plus 2 and plus 2 here. Now we need to expand this matrix. So we have I vector. So how to perform? First, suppress the I vector. In other ways, I can say remove the row and column in which I vector appears. So if you do so, this one we have to remove and this column we have to remove. So the remaining elements are 2, minus 1, 2 and 2. Before taking j, you have to write minus. So minus I j vector, determinant value of. Now what you have to do? Now you have to remove the row and column in which j vector is present. So remove this row and remove this column. So the remaining elements are 1, minus 1, minus 2 and 2. Then finally plus k vector. Then we need to remove the row and column in which the k vector appears. So remove this row and remove this column. So the remaining values are 1, 2, minus 2 and 2. Now we have to expand this determinant value. So I have I vector. First you need to multiply these two values. So 2 times 2 will give you 4. Then write a minus sign and you have to multiply these two values. So minus 1 times 2 minus 2, we have already minus 2, so this will become plus 2. Then minus j vector bracket, multiply these two values first, will give you 2. Then write a minus sign, multiply these two values. So minus 2 minus 1 will give you plus 2. You have already minus 2. So I have 2 minus 2 plus k vector, multiply these two will give you 2. Minus of multiply these two will give you minus 4, already minus 2, so this will give you plus 4. So by simplifying this, I will get 4 plus 2, which is 6 times I vector. The second value, this will become 0 because we have 2 minus 2 plus 6 plus 2, 4 plus 2, 6 and 6 times k vector. So this is my final answer. Let us move to next question. Find the vector perpendicular to a vector as well as b vector. So there is a condition. When I say a vector and b vector both are perpendicular, which is nothing but we need to find the cross product between the two vectors. So like previous question, first we have to write this in a determinant form. So I vector, j vector, k vector, then write the coefficient of ijk of a vector. So here the coefficient is 1, 2 and 1. So we write 1, 2, 1. Similarly, take the coefficient of b vectors, which is 3, minus 4, 1. Okay, and then we have to expand. So I vector, multiply these two, 2 minus of multiply these two will give you 4. Minus j vector, multiply, I'm writing here, okay. So 1, 1. So multiply these two will give you 1. minus of these two will give you 3 plus k vector multiply these two, which is minus 4, minus of these two, which is minus 6. If you simplify, will give you minus I vector. Here 1 minus 3 will give you minus 2. I have already minus here, so minus minus plus 2 times j minus 10 k vector. We can find the area of a parallelogram when I know two vectors, a vector and b vector. So to find the area of the parallelogram, again what we have to do, we have to find the cross product, and then we have to take the magnitude of the cross product. Suppose if I want to calculate area of a triangle when two vectors are given, a and b vector, then the formula will be the magnitude of the cross product between the two vectors, a vector and b vector, divide by 2. So if a parallelogram, to find the area of a parallelogram, we have to use this formula. To find the area of the triangle, we have to use this formula. Let us see one question. Find the area of the parallelogram whose adjacent sides are given by a vector equal to this, b vector equal to this. Okay, so it's very simple. We know that area of the parallelogram is nothing but the magnitude of a vector cross b vector. So what do you do? First step, you have to calculate the cross product between a vector and b vector. So like the previous two questions, if you solve, this will give you 8 times I vector. So j will become 0 and k will become 0. You have only 8i. Then what I do, I have to find the magnitude of the cross product between two vectors, which is nothing but square root of 8. So this is the final answer. In the same question, if they ask for triangle, then you have to use this formula. That is the magnitude of cross product between a and b divided by 2. Okay, let us move to chapter number 7.5. So in 7.5, we are going to talk about gradient and directional derivatives. If I know a function f, which involves three variables x, y, z, then the gradient of f of y, z is denoted by the symbol del f. And del f is nothing but dou f by dou x times I vector plus dou f by dou y into j vector plus dou f by dou z into k vector. That is, you need to find the partial derivative of dou f by dou x, dou f by dou y, dou f by dou z. Let us see one question. Find the gradient. Find the gradient of f equal to 3x power 2y minus y power 3z power 2 at the point 1 comma minus 2 comma 1. So step number 1, let me write the formula. So dou f equal to dou f by dou x into I vector plus dou f by dou y into j vector plus dou f by dou z into k vector. So first I have to find dou f by dou x. What is the meaning of dou f by dou x? Take the function, do the partial derivative with respect to x. So if I differentiate the first term with respect to x, that will give you 6xy. In the second term, there is no x, it will be 0. Then I have to find dou f by dou y. What is dou f by dou y? Take the function, do the partial derivative with respect to y. So in the first term, the derivative of this with respect to y will give you 3x power 2 minus the derivative of the second term with respect to y will give you 3y power 2 z power 2. Then I have to find dou f by dou z. What is the meaning of dou f by dou z? Take the function f, do the partial derivative with respect to z. In the first term, there is no z, it will be 0. If I differentiate second term with respect to z, that will give you minus 2y power 3 z. Then substitute dou f by dou x here, dou f by dou y here, and dou f by dou z here. So that will give you this one. But the question is, we need to find the gradient at this point. So that means in the answer of del f, wherever you have x, put x equal to 1. Wherever you have y, put y equal to -2. Wherever you have z, put z equal to 1. So if you substitute these values, you will get this as the final answer. Let us do one more question. A function f is given. F is equal to log of x power 2 plus y power 2 plus z power 2. I need to find del f. So let me write the formula. Then I have to find the partial derivative with respect to x. Log of x power 2 plus y power 2 plus z power 2. So this is nothing but 1 by x power 2 plus y power 2 plus z power 2. Then the derivative of x power 2 will give you 2x. Same way, if I do dou f by dou y, this will give you 1 by x power 2 plus 1 by y power 2, 1 by z power 2. Then derivative of y power 2 with respect to y will give you 2y. Similarly, dou f by dou z will give you 2z by x power 2 plus y power 2 plus z power 2. Substitute these values in the formula, will give you this answer. Okay, same way we can do question number 3. F is given, but now they are asking magnitude of del f at this point. So as usual, step number 1, write the formula, find dou f by dou x, find dou f by dou y, find dou f by dou z, then substitute these values in the formula, will give you this. Then in the del f answer, substitute x equal to 2, y equal to -2, z equal to -1 will give you this. Finally, we will find the magnitude, which is nothing but square root of 10 power 2, which is 100 plus 16 plus 256. That will give you 372. The next one, directional derivative. We can simply call it as dd of a scalar point function. The formula to calculate dd is nothing but first you find gradient f or del f, then we have to make dot product with the direction vector, divide by the magnitude of a vector. Let us see the question. Find the directional derivative of this function at this point in the direction. So this vector is the direction vector. This is nothing but a vector. Okay. So first step, write del f formula. Then find dou f by dou x, dou f by dou y, and dou f by dou z. So dou f by dou x will give you 2 dou f by dou x, that will give you 4 z power 2 plus 2x yz. Dou f by dou y will give you x squared y. Dou f by dou z will give you x power 2y plus 8xz. Then substitute the values here, will give you this. And then in the answer, replace x equal to 1, y equal to -2, z equal to 1 will give you del f equal to 8 into I vector minus j vector minus 10k vector. We have given a direction vector, so that we have to take it as a vector. If I find the magnitude of this a vector, so that will give you square root of 9, which is nothing but 3. So final answer, what is, how to get the final answer? Del f dot product of a vector divided by magnitude of a vector. So we have 8 into I vector minus j vector minus k vector. This I have to make dot product with 2i minus j minus 2k, this whole thing divide by 3. Remember, when you do dot product, you have to take the coefficient of I and multiply these two. So 8 times 2 will give you 16. Plus here the coefficient is -1. Here the coefficient is -1. Minus times -1 will give you +1. Then -10 minus 2 will give you +20. Divide by 3. If you simplify, you will get 37 by 3.